Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Film Fan Club Show. My name's Sam Carrico. We got another great show for you. Coming up, Lucas Ledain will join me to discuss Prime Video's new Fallout show. But first, have you noticed how TV production crews seem to take over every city these days? Well, it appears right here in Tulsa is the latest hot spot for filming, with Ethan Hawke and Sterling Harjo shooting the pilot for a new crime noir drama here recently. I guess Tulsa's trading in its cowboy boots for detective hacks. When we asked the locals what they thought about it, they said they weren't impressed. Quote, "Who cares? We already have a crime show here. It's called The First 48. End quote. And speaking of new projects, we've got Ralph Ineson. He's landed the role of Galactus in Marvel's upcoming Fantastic Four film. Galactus, yeah, the big bad cosmic villain. I mean, this guy eats planets for breakfast. If that's not a diet gone wrong, I don't know what is. Talk about a villain with an out-of-this-world appetite. Okay, I'll stop. Next up, remember the Twister movie from back in 1996? Well, this trailer for the sequel's Twisters came out this week, because apparently one Twister just wasn't enough. I can already see the tagline, quote, "More Twisters, more drama, and more windblown hair than you can handle." Alright, time for a monologue. We're talking about Fallout coming up, and I think this show's success is part of a larger trend in the industry. Over the years, Hollywood has had a love-hate relationship with video games. From the cheesy, low-budget flops of the 90s to the more recent, critically acclaimed hits, video game adaptations have had their fair share of ups and downs in the world of film and television. On the other hand, comic book adaptations have been dominating the box office for the past decade, with superhero movies making more money than Tony Stark at a tech expo. However, as the market becomes saturated, with superhero films flopping faster than a speeding bullet, audiences and studios alike are beginning to look for new, fresh ideas to capture their attention. Enter video game adaptations. With the advancement of technology and graphics, the potential for exciting and visually stunning adaptations has never been greater. Gone are the days of poorly rendered CGI and shoddy plots. Now video game adaptations such as The Last of Us, Super Mario Bros., and yes, Fallout, are setting a new record for what can be achieved on the big screen. These hits are like the health packs of Hollywood. They give the industry a much needed boost. Forget leveling up, it's now about leveling out the playing field between superheroes and video games. As comic book films begin to decline in popularity, and more importantly, in creativity, Hollywood is turning its sights to the world of video games for inspiration. With a vast array of beloved franchises to choose from, the possibilities are endless. Just think of what a Legend of Zelda series could look like. Hell, I'd kill for a Time Splitters movie. But a common element of what makes video games ripe for adaptation is now sadly a holdover from a bygone era. Yeah, it all comes down to the importance of single-player games. While multiplayer online games may have a larger player base and more opportunities for interaction with your pals, single-player games offer a more immersive experience and, in my opinion, a better story. The depth of storytelling and character development here is what makes video games such a rich source of material for film and television adaptations. So as Hollywood begins to shift its focus from comic books to video games, it's clear that the future of entertainment lies in the digital realm. With its vast array of stories and characters waiting to be brought to life on the big screen, video games, they're poised to become the next big thing in Hollywood. So my advice? Grab your controller and get ready for a new era of entertainment. The age of video game adaptations has arrived. Okay, we've got a great show for you lined up. Let's dive right into our discussion of Fallout and see if it's a critical hit or if it's game over for this show. Are you ready to press start? Let's welcome tonight's guest. His tenure on this show has lasted longer than most of the tenures of the prime ministers in his lifetime. Joining us all the way from UK, returning champion Lucas Ledain. Lucas, how are you?
Hello, I'm very, very good. We're also about to lose another prime minister over here. That's no good. So it's excellent. It's great.
So it's a Saturday for you. You know, it's just a regular Saturday. Another day, another prime minister out the window. I was surprised when you had a change in monarch. I thought that was never going to happen in my lifetime. I was like, that she's going to live forever. but here we are.
Mm,
Anyways, that's a fun way to start the show. So I figured we'd have a couple topics at hand. Obviously, Fallout. I'm trying so hard to get this episode out before everybody has forgotten that Fallout even exists, because that it kind of came and went out of the social media atmosphere. So we're going to get to Fallout, but then also in typical Film Fan Club show fashion, we're a week late on covering some news that was big last Monday. The James Gunn Superman movie, formerly titled Superman Legacy. Obviously, we're big James Gunn fans here. Obviously, super happy that he's taken over the DC universe.
mm,
And I thought
yes.
I was one of the only people that gave Guardians of the Galaxy 3 a positive review. Oh wait, I'm just kidding. Never mind. Sorry. I did not like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and I don't think that James Gunn is the right choice for the DC universe. Big Zack Snyder fan. So, okay, I got to show you this shit. What do we think of this? This is the first look at David Cornsweet in Zack Snyder's excuse me, 40. Oh, ooh, I wish. In James Gunn's Superman, formerly titled Superman Legacy, they kicked out Henry Cavill for this. He says that he wanted a brighter, more inspiring Superman. At least that's the impression that I got. And then he shows us
Mm.
this picture. What do you think of this picture?
So, first of all, I do want to say I actually really enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and that's
I
the only
mean,
James Gunn film I've ever liked, so that's interesting.
wow.
But in terms of the suit, it's giving Man of Steel from Timu. It's just not it's not original. I think
No.
he's made it look darker to try and sort of simmer down the Snyder fans. I've kind of moved away from Snyder fans a bit just because Rebel Moon, I love Zack Snyder, but Rebel Moon is total trash.
It was a heartbreak
So,
watching that movie.
yeah. So I think he's trying to maybe sort of cash in on that opportunity, maybe get some new fans on board that weren't on board before. But I can't see how anyone would look at this picture personally and be like, yes, this is what I would like to see.
It's like, again, yeah, if you come for the king, you best not miss, you know? And they tried to do Henry Cavill to maybe, but like you're saying, I hadn't thought about that, maybe appease some of the Snyder fans that are very vocally upset that he's not leading the direction of the DC universe, especially after Zack Snyder's Justice League. I know it was like 3 years ago now at this point, but I will never let go anything that's ever happened in my life ever, Lucas. I just hold on to
Mm,
things. So I will never be happy knowing that they killed what opportunity we had. So you're already at a disadvantage. You really got to
yeah.
impress me with this first image. And you give us Dollar Bin, like you said, Man of Steel from Timu. Like you should have gone in a radically different direction. These some of the things that I've heard that I agree with. The shirt looks like a jumper, like it looks like a sweater. It doesn't really look like it fits. Like you look at Henry Cavill in that suit, it
Mm,
feels like a Kryptonian like jumpsuit or something like that. Like just like they're going for it fits him perfectly. He looks heroic. And in the first image of Henry Cavill, he's in a bank. He's got you can see the
yes.
immense power, the intensity of Superman. What's David Cornsweet doing? He's sitting putting on, he's like, you've seen the memes. He looks like he's trying on shoes at a Reeboks. And then this is the arrogance of James Gunn that bothers me. He shares the picture and he says, just so you know, this was taken entirely in camera, as if we don't know what a volume screen is. Like we've all seen The Mandalorian. We all know what a volume
Yes.
screen is. It wasn't impressive in The Mandalorian. It looked fake. It looked like a bad environment there. It doesn't look like a real environment here. And for him to be like, "Oh, this is all in camera," as if there's an actual giant laser shooting out of the sky in real life. It's pretentious, you know? It just feels pretentious while giving us a subpar product, and I find that to be arrogance.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's definitely not only that, I think it's just, as I said, and you said, it just looks cheap. And I think there's also, I don't know about you, but at this point, I'm near enough burnt out on superhero movies. Unless it's going to be something original, something that's worth seeing, something that actually captivates people and has some sort of relevance, if you understand what I'm saying,
Yeah.
then I'll go and see it. But this looks like every other sort of comic book film that's come out for the last 10 plus years. And I don't have any faith in James Gunn to be able to rein DC in and, deliver something successful even a fraction of the level that Marvel has.
Yeah,
And I
or
say that as a DC fan.
yeah, or Marvel had, because Marvel, of course, has had a bad
Mm.
year recently as well. But you said it doesn't. It looks like all the same or the same exact same thing we've gotten over the last 20 years of superhero
Yeah.
movies.
It's another Skybeam.
Yeah. Oh my God. I didn't even think about that. I hate the sky beam. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right, though. That's lazy. I hate that. But even worse, this suit feels to me like a CW costume. Like some of the Tyler
Mm.
Hoechlin whatever costumes. I didn't watch the show, but his what was it called? Superman and Lois or something like that.
Yes,
I've
yeah.
seen the pictures like by comparison. They look a lot better. And again, we're just going off of a still image here. So like the still image of Tyler Hoechlin looks better than the still image of this. I can only imagine what it looks like in real life. But again, this is all to get rid of Henry Cavill. This is a reboot, right? We're
Mm.
doing a hard reboot. Well, apparently not. I guess I could stop sharing the screen because season 2 of Peacemaker is coming out, and now they're announcing that Rick Flag Sr. is going to be in Peacemaker season 2, and he's going to be he's going to be in Creature Commando. So if you can follow this, he's going to be in I believe Creature Commandos, which is part of the new DC universe. The same character is going to appear in Peacemaker, which of course is season follows up season 1, which season 1 was set in the Snyderverse. So it's this reboot makes no sense. He wants James Gunn wants to keep the Suicide Squad as canon because his wife's in it. He wants to keep Peacemaker as canon. His wife's also in that, and he's willing to just confuse the hell out of this new reboot universe. I understand if you want to do a fresh take, but you have to do a fresh take. You can't do a season 2 of a show that's set in another universe and be like, oh, this new season is going to be canon, but the other season wasn't canon. It's season 2, and then now, of course, the reason I bring up Rick Flag Sr. is, of course, because in the Suicide Squad, Rick Flag Jr. was killed, and the presumption that I've seen online is that Rick Flag Sr. is going to be out for revenge because Peacemaker killed his son. But that's following up a storyline from the Snyderverse. Like it makes no sense. How do you feel about his just inconsistency on this reboot?
Yeah, I mean, as you say, honestly, it's like I feel like Denis Villeneuve could create a more straightforward and understandable,
Yeah.
digestible thing. Like it's just insane. The amount of different threads that are unanswered that we don't know whether they are going to continue or not. It's just a constant sort of guessing game. And then there's also the addition of Todd Phillips and Matt Reeves. And even though James Gunn's in charge of the DC universe, they said he's allowing them to run free and do their own separate universes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just fracturing their audience up so much that it's going to get to a point where there's no audience left that's going to go see a film probably and make it over 5 million because every single fan base is going to be so segmented in what they like. But I think I do have to say, I do think Matt Reeves and Todd Phillips are going to be fine in their
Right.
universes. And I wouldn't be surprised if down the line James Gunn does kind of remind them, well, I'm the head of DC. I'm taking this and I'm putting it into my universe, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
But then that's not going to earn him any more good favor with fans.
I think that's like a holdover from whenever studios Marvel and DC really thought that the multiverse was going to be this big thing that would
Oh,
pop off, and now we're all sick of that already, especially because of the Flash. That was like the worst example. I think that killed the idea of the multiverse. I don't want that and the Kang bullshit. I hated
mm,
Quantumania, and Loki's a
mm,
mess, and it's me anyways. I know a lot of people like Loki, but so I think that the idea of the multiverse is ruined. So and I think that he was like, yeah, maybe one day we'll do this, multiversal crossover where we get Todd Phillips Joker, we get Matt Reeves Batman, and my Superman, even though but now I don't want to see that. I hope any plans for that are scrapped. There was a time when I would have liked the Batman from Matt Reeves to be in the same universe as the Joker movie, which would be then the starting point for James Gunn's new universe. Like if you could just, because I don't like the idea of like 5 different Jokers, 5 different Batman all running, because now we're gonna have the Brave and the Bold, we're gonna have the Batman, and all these. That means another Joker, and I just wish we could simplify this. But on the other hand, I'm like you said, I'm happy they're their own separate thing because that means they can do their own thing and be good. I read somewhere that Todd Phillips was having James Gunn look over his script for Joker 2 and give notes
Mm,
on it. And I'm like, oh, get James Gunn as far away from the Joker 2
yeah,
script as possible.
yeah, and I mean, I also can't help shake the thought of obviously there's a lot of rumors going around that I always call him Zazzy because of some YouTubers I watch, but it's David Zaslav, of course,
Yeah,
the head of Warner Brothers, is trying to get it into a position to just sell off Warner Brothers as soon as he can, particularly to Comcast. So there's also the potential that James Gunn himself has no plans to actually go through with any of this stuff. And I can't shake that feeling because you look at all this stuff he's got planned all these years down the line and you think, but you don't actually seem to be making any steps to put these into production. There's so many films allegedly in production that have been for over a year now.
yeah,
No word on it, nothing. Nobody has been hired, no casting calls, absolutely nothing. So who knows? Maybe he just wants to sort of have his moment to make his Superman film, sort of get his own back at Disney for the situation he did have with
right.
Guardians of the Galaxy. And then he's probably going to go on to try and win I don't know, an Oscar or something like every other director would. They don't need the franchise, but I do think Warner Brothers do. And that's why I feel like there could be the potential. They're just using James Gunn to help stall until they get rid of it, and then it's someone else's problem.
Yeah. Last point on James Gunn, that you brought up something that made me think he's got to have some sort of deal with Warner Brothers. Like, okay, yeah, I do one of your cape shit movies for you, and then after that, you let me do an Oscar bait movie, so that way I could, because everybody, yeah, he wants to be part of that. Like Taika Waititi has, you did
Yeah,
Jojo Rabbit, Ben
Nolan
Affleck,
had to do
obvious.
it.
Yeah. Nolan, that's a great example. Yeah, Nolan winning the Oscar last year has probably every superhero movie director being like, all right, can I make real movies now? Not to be a dick about superhero movies. We love superhero movies. Can't wait for Deadpool or whatever. That's not going to be bad at
Yes.
all. Uh,
Oh, I'm
um,
excited.
I'm cautiously optimistic. It's the first Disney Deadpool movie. So I said it in the monologue for last
Mm.
week. I mean, they have an amazing track record with Marvel, Star Wars, Pirates of the Caribbean, Pixar, and live action adaptations. What could go wrong? Oh, all those sucked. Okay. Um, this week we're talking about Fallout. I mentioned we got to get this out before
Woo.
everybody forgets that Fallout exists. I'm going to let you kind of start before I give my initial reaction to the show, because you're the bigger Fallout fan. So could you kind of, before you get into your reaction, I guess, to the show, just give us a little bit of your history with Fallout and then your anticipation. What did you think about the series going into it?
Yeah, so it was actually not a franchise I ended up playing like for a long time. I only recently got into it probably a few years ago. But I'm a big Bethesda fan, and they're of course the game company behind it.
Right.
Um, and when I got into it, what instantly struck me about Fallout, and I think what captivates a lot of people about it, is the world. It's a masterclass in world building. You know, it's one of those worlds you could just get lost in. There's so much lore attached to it. There's so many different characters and different things involved, and so many like questions, theories. You can genuinely spend days, weeks just reading about the world of Fallout. So that's really what captivated me, and that was definitely my biggest, I wouldn't say expectation because I was very nervous going into the show, but my biggest hope probably was that it would sort of translate that over to it. I also definitely wanted to see, obviously Easter eggs to the games. I didn't
Right.
want it to be too hand-fisted. Sometimes they can feel very unnatural when it's done, and you're like, okay, that's just done for the sake of fan service. So I wanted it all to feel natural, and obviously it's a video game adaptation, so I just hoped it was good.
Yeah.
We just hoped it was good, and so far they've not let us down. They've not let us down with The Last of Us. Video games are slowly getting their way in there. So I'm quite happy about that. And yeah, Fallout, the show, obviously you might not agree, but then again, you haven't necessarily played the games.
Right.
I think it captured the feeling of the games perfectly. And that's probably also why it resonated with so many other people as well.
So your initial reaction, how fast did you watch it? I know some people that watched it in a weekend, or myself, or I took my time with it. I just finished it last night. Did you like it? How quickly what was your kind of initial reaction on your initial watch through?
So me and my fiance, we sat down to watch it at 8 o'clock at night. Um, and we finished the entire season in one night. And I had work at 6 o'clock in the morning, I believe, the next
Oh my God.
day. So yeah, it wasn't the best idea, but I couldn't help it. Instantly, as soon as the end of the first episode happened, I was like, I've got to find out what happens next. And then it was one of those shows to me that, you say, all right, I'll stop watching after this episode. And then it's a cliffhanger. So I'm like, oh, well, I need to see what happens next. I just want
Mhm.
to find out. And it kept happening. And yeah, before I knew it, it was the end of the show. So yeah, I mean, on the by the end of the first episode, as I say, I was so impressed at what they had managed to do and how well they had done it. I just couldn't switch it off.
Yeah. My initial I get like we're very different. I'm glad, which is why I'm so glad I was able to get you on for this episode because we're coming at it from very different perspectives. Where did I set it? I said it right here. I own the game. I should play Fallout 4. I probably will play it now that because you touched on something. It feels like the video game is translated really well. You feel like you're
Yes.
playing the game at certain points in this. So the show, at best, it made me want to play the game that I own, that I should play for my PS4 before I get a PS5. I need to get one before Grand Theft Auto 5 comes out. I thought the show was okay. I agree with you. The first episode really got me. I was very much taken by
Mm,
the world. I was very much taken by the history. I was very much taken by, I love it whenever like there's a really good world building is the different politics of it and the different
yeah.
people's different takes on what's happening in the world. It makes it feel more real. So I believe the Walton Goggins scene is how it opens, right? The flashback of the bomb dropping and Walton Goggins is there with his son or his daughter, right? He has a daughter at the very
Yeah.
beginning. Yeah, the cold
Well, I
open got
believe
me.
it's like kind of his daughter. It's a bit complicated from the law, but there is some belief that like he was actually divorced and then married her or the other way around or something. So there's a lot of actually theories, conspiracy theories surrounding Mr. Walton Goggins, as usual.
Oh, okay. Interesting. He was a standout for me. I loved his performance
Mm,
throughout the whole show. I think he was probably the best, one of the best parts of it. But I like that. So, like, I guess I overall liked the show. I don't know how invested I am. It's fun passive watching. I found it to be fun. This is gonna piss off more than if I just said I didn't like it. I found it to be good, like second monitor, material. I'm doing something else. I'm doing my laundry. Walton
mm,
Goggins Fallout is on, and it was good for that reason. I don't know. I think I made the mistake though of I was going between that and House of the Dragon, which House of the Dragon season one
mm.
I think is a fantastic season of television. It's one of my
Yes.
favorite seasons of television I've ever seen. And so comparing it to House of the Dragon is not fair, but I did it. And when you compare it to the House of the Dragon, I immediately want to watch that over Fallout. So I think it brought
Mm.
my enjoyment of the show down a little bit unfairly. But I enjoyed the world. I enjoyed the actors in the show. I just think maybe it's the writing. Maybe if it was a little bit snappier writing, I felt like we were kind of there's a lot of I don't want to say wasting time because also in the wasting time you're kind of building up your characters. So, but I did feel like there's a little bit of wasting time in the show. Am I wrong? Tell me how ignorant I am, basically.
I don't think you're ignorant. It's just interesting because when I hear you say that, I do wonder. Obviously, Fallout is a very, very large game. A lot of people have played it. So I do wonder if they've actually sort of made it almost in a way inaccessible for non-fans or people who haven't played the games like you. And we're all in this bubble thinking it's this amazing story. And how can people not like this in-depth, amazing story? But of course, a lot of the time people do forget not everyone knows all the lore attached to
Yeah,
things. Not everyone's going to pick up on every little thing in the plot. So, for example, like it's mentioned in the first episode in one of Walton Goggins' flashbacks, um, you know, and it's one of the core themes of Fallout is it's a commentary on capitalism and how everything can become a product, how everyone and everything is a product. And that's not limited to the end of the world. And they can, of course, assure that by doing it themselves and
yeah,
things like this. And it's always about this almost endless struggle for power, but it's always going to be unattainable because it always ends in destruction. And then it was very interesting to me because maybe what lost you after the first episode was that it felt like playing the Fallout game in terms of you're
Yeah,
going on this adventure, constantly getting sidetracked,
that's
and
what I
that's almost an
wonder.
Easter egg.
Yeah,
Is yes,
if that maybe doesn't translate as well, because I do get the sense that the structure of the game is, yeah, it's like a road trip game. You go, you're
yeah,
walking a lot because it's open world, and you run into things that become obstacles for you. And I just don't. I wonder if maybe that doesn't translate as well to an 8 episode miniseries.
mm,
Because I found it to be a little, I guess, and also part of my problem could be I found it to be a little inconsistent. Episode one I thought was good. I remember liking episode four a lot, where there's when they
mm.
get they go. I think that's when Walton Goggins tries to sell her off for the vials, and then hijinks ensue whenever they let all the ghouls out or at the
Yeah.
end. That was episode four. I found to be really good, and then maybe episode like six, seven, eight. I thought really picked up the last 3 episodes. Once we got into the
Mm.
conspiracy aspect and the reveals towards the end, I found that to be really good. But it did although I knew that her dad was going to be bad. Like at the moment like they started hyping that mystery up, I was like, okay, he's going to be the bad guy somehow. I don't know how yet. But then having it happen with the Walton Goggins flashback, I thought that was well done, even though I knew the twist was coming. So I guess maybe my problem is the show is a little inconsistent, and I don't know
Mm.
how much the world or the structure of the video game translates, which I think you were also touching on as well.
Yeah, I think the structure of the video game actually translate very well because there's even jokes about it. Like for example, in the I always forget what they're called. I believe it's a vertibird, which is the helicopter sort of plane they use. Um, one of the knights makes a joke and he's like, right, put us down. I want to go shoot something because that's sort of what you do. You know, you're playing the game. You're like, nah, I'm bored. I'm going to go shoot something and continue on my main quest later. It's sort of those little touches
Yeah.
that really made it such a good experience for me. And then I feel like I do agree with you though in some regards that it does definitely stall in the
Yeah.
middle a little bit. Like I wasn't personally ever bored. Like I never found myself looking at my phone or anything. I was fully engaged,
Okay.
but I can certainly see how non-fans would have got bored because for a fan, it's exciting to see the wasteland in live action. It's exciting to see all these different creatures, but for someone who's not a fan and doesn't know what any of these things are, they're like, okay, this is a weird creature with fingers for teeth.
Yeah.
Great. What am I supposed to do with that? Whereas a fan knows that that's not even what those creatures are like in the game. That's a genetically mutated thing hundreds of years after the games have taken place.
Yeah.
So it's all this different sort of stuff. So that's why I do worry that maybe they have made it quite inaccessible for people like you who maybe could have become a fan through the show by making it too reliant almost on the Easter eggs and the structure of the game and adapting the game rather than making it a show.
And I think I want to give it the benefit of the doubt. I know a lot of shows do, well, not House of the Dragon, but I know a lot of shows do struggle in their first season. I like season two of Game of
Mm,
Thrones better than season one of Game of Thrones. I
mm,
think season two of Breaking Bad is a little bit better than season one of Breaking Bad, even though they're good shows. But they really find their groove as they get into season two or three. Season three of Game of Thrones is, wait, which one is Tyrion? The hand is the Hand of the King. Whatever season the Hand of the King, whichever season Tyrion is the Hand of the King in, that's the best series season of Game of Thrones. So the shows do find their groove as they kind of progress a little bit. So I do want to give it the benefit of the doubt that I should watch season two, and that season two could even be way better. I think is a good start. I just maybe, yeah, episode two and three, we have a very short attention span. Luckily, I don't because I watch 4 hour video essays. But
mm.
if somebody doesn't
You
have as
worked on one of the longest films I've ever bloody seen.
that's
No
right. Yeah,
offense.
Killers of the Flower Moon. Killers of the Flower Moon flies by. It just like that's always the standard for me whenever I'm comparing pacing. It does would I rather
What
be
Killers
watching.
of the Flower Moon?
Yeah, that movie flies by. I feel like I'm only there for 2.5 hours when I'm really there for three and
Mm.
a half hours. Um, Anyways, but yeah, the pacing could have been a little bit better. And I worry that, yeah, like you said, some people could drop out during episode two. Some people could drop out during episode three. We have about 9 minutes left, so I figured we'll talk about just a couple of the characters before we finish.
Mm.
But because everybody's got to talk about Ella Purnell is the actress who plays Lucy. She's not a character from the video game, right? She's kind of an amalgamation of like different traits or whatever. But what do you think about her character and her characterization?
Yeah, so you are correct. She's not a character, but she's supposed to be sort of, you know, a reference to the how a player character would interact with the world.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I thought she was brilliant. I thought her performance was brilliant from the jump. I thought she really nailed this sort of camp, quirky vibe that Fallout's always had. As you as you said, you know, she's one of the most talked about parts of the show. I think for a reason. She did a phenomenal job. I really loved her okie dokie catchphrase, and it was so
Yeah.
entertaining because that's how you are as a player playing Fallout. You have to constantly go and do fetch quests for people and all this stuff you don't want to do just to get to your main purpose that you were trying to do. So I thought she did that brilliantly, and she really sold the sort of naive, unknowing person walking out into this apocalyptic wasteland, into this badass like adventurer by the end, willing to do whatever it takes to just get what she wants. So I thought it was a really good performance.
And you buy her change from being very
Yeah,
naive at the beginning of the first episode, very capable but still naive at the beginning of the first episode, to being very hardened by the end of the last episode and having to make that decision to not to disagree with her father in that way.
yeah,
Yeah, she's fantastic. I enjoyed her a lot. Somebody said that she needs to become what Millie Bobby Brown is for Netflix. Ella Purnell needs to be that for Amazon Prime. Just put her in everything.
mm,
And I would enjoy it because she's
yeah,
fun. She's gorgeous and
yeah.
she's a good actress, very capable actress. I enjoyed it. There's the Maximus, the Squire. Did you like his storyline? My only thing is he kind of touched on. It reminds me of something. The stakes seem to be a little all over the place in this show. There's a lot of times, especially with the character Maximus, where I feel like, oh, they're going to be in trouble now, and they just get out of trouble. Like him being locked in the suit, bam, immediately resolved. They're
Mm.
in that vault towards the end of the last episode. Bam, they just let him go. It's very immediately resolved. So I guess a double fold question. Did you feel like the stakes were all over the place? And then also brought more broadly the character Maximus.
Yeah, I mean, he was probably my least favorite character, but I still really enjoyed his character. Overall, I feel like whenever it got to his story, a lot of the time I was just kind of wanting it to switch back to what they were doing before.
I
I was
felt the
like, I
same
don't
way.
really care.
Yeah.
But I will be honest because I know a lot of people probably really liked it. So the Brotherhood of Steel are a really popular sort of faction in the game. I've never really liked them though. Like they've just always really like they're just not been the sort of faction I gravitate towards.
Yeah.
So apart from seeing the power armor and everything, I never really got anything out of that storyline, whereas other people might have. And as for the stakes, it was very he should have been killed
Several
already.
times. Yeah.
Like, and I'm still obviously so sh his friend says that it was them who injured themselves in the end, but I still don't know if I believe that because the way he responds when he's being questioned, when it happens, there's something not right about it from the get-go, or he is just a bit of a weirdo, I guess, and just very opportunistic. And someone I believe in a review I said he has a luck skill of 10, which is very true.
Yeah, yeah, that seemed to be the character. We mentioned Walton Goggins. I liked him a lot. I was about to say Ella Purnell is the heart of the show, but really, I think Walton Goggins and his tragic backstory I found to be kind of also the heart of the show. I liked him a lot. I think I already kind of touched on that a little bit. Is there anything else you want to say about Walton Goggins as the ghoul?
I would just say, I think you definitely will need to watch season two
Yeah,
because obviously your favorite parts are the same as mine, which are the political parts of the show, where it
right.
gets into all the politics and the conspiracies. And season two is going to really blow up with that, and he's going to be definitely at the center of it because it's quite clearly going to be about him trying to find his family. Uh, they may be in New Vegas, and there's a lot of fun little cool things in New Vegas that I'm not going to spoil for you because
Yeah.
if you do watch it, it'll probably be quite a cool surprise to see all this stuff and learn the history. But yeah, I'd just say keep a lookout for his character is nowhere near finished.
I did like.
He's got a lot to do.
Yeah, yeah. I like that they felt like we covered a lot of ground with him, but there's still more way to go. They didn't do their whole, they didn't do it all
Mm,
this one season. which I enjoy. There's still more to enjoy. I liked the structure of the show being. I mean, there's certain storylines where, like Game of Thrones, you wish they would just move past it, or like Glee, even just get to the next one. Like Maximus was that for me and you here. But I enjoyed the
Mm,
overall structure of the show, how it did have the three main characters, and it kind of felt like it was, yeah, three different scenarios. If you're playing the game, you could play as any of these, but so the show just kind of showed you the best versions of each of the three, and it gave it enough to kind of bounce around and kind of keep it moving. So over the course of this conversation, I will say you've made me like it more. I just hope that season two is more consistent, like
yeah.
more consistently engaging. Because yeah, I like episode one, I like episode four, and by the time we got to the last three episodes, I would say the ball really was rolling. But there were a couple episodes where I was just on my phone doing laundry. That's probably, people
Mm.
are going to say that's my fault, but House of the Dragon, I can't even get up to leave the seat. I'm engaged. Season two, baby. We're going to review it. We have 3 minutes left, Lucas. Would you like to kind of give your final thoughts on season one of Fallout and your hopes for season two?
Yeah, so overall, for me, season one was like pretty much everything I could have hoped for as a fan going into it. I'm really excited for season two to explore New Vegas, to explore, pardon, Robco and all the more government conspiracy theories they can throw in, the better. I love it. I find them so entertaining. Voltec's evil, and you need to play Fallout 4, and I'll send you a list of good mods to install.
I'll watch it. Maybe this is a good opportunity to plug my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/the film fan club.
Mm.
If I play Fallout, it will be on the Twitch channel. So that maybe people will
And if you
enjoy it.
play 76, it's online. I'll play it with you.
Okay. Okay. There we go. There we go. All right. Lucas Ledain, is there anything that you want to plug right now? We've been eagerly awaiting of the LCM network. Can you give any updates on that?
So there's nothing really overall happening with it at the moment. I'm just sort of at the moment I'm focusing on traveling. I'm still going to America soon, and focusing on work and stuff. But yeah, in general, I'm just having a good time, enjoying life.
There's an amazing archive of LCM content, though, over on Lucas's YouTube channel. You should definitely, if there's nothing new, you should go back and watch it if you haven't yet, because yours truly is a guest on a lot of episodes. Lucas, and hopefully maybe we'll get some travel vlog. Lucas Comes to
Mhm.
America travel vlog kind of content down the road. Lucas Ledain, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that's our show. I'd like to thank Lucas Ledain once again for joining me this week. Make sure you're subscribed to the Film Fan Club here on YouTube, because later on this month we're talking Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Furiosa. It's going to be a great month here on YouTube. But make sure you're also following us wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Apple, Spotify, all that stuff. Make sure you're listening to the Film Fan Club show. Thanks so much, guys. I'm Sam Carrico. I'll see you next time.